Good day. I'm George Hamilton, an extension field specialist at the University of New Hampshire. All right, I started employment here in New Hampshire in November of '89 with a specialty in fruit and vegetable pest management. And the red county symbolizes where I work. My office is in Hillsborough County, and the red star is where the University of New Hampshire is. Now, Hillsborough County basically comprises of around 20 to 30% of the fruits and vegetables that are produced in the state of New Hampshire. So the New Hampshire Vegetable Fruit IPM program is kind of a resembles what is grown in our county, in Hillsborough County. And basically, we're looking to use pheromones or Senate lure traps to trap pests that are causing problems, especially with sweet corn and other crops. And why this program was developed is because the farmers were feeling that extension was leaving them down because we weren't running a program that was uniform across the wide area, given an area or statewide program. So listening to their issues and discussing with grower associations and growers in the southern part of New Hampshire, we developed the program to start out with sweet corn and expanded as we went off. So developed program objectives to increase the growers' awareness and understanding of the major insect pests, both vegetables and fruits. And what I was looking at is trying to develop spraying based on insect population thresholds versus a calendar-based program. And we were looking to reduce cost or improve the quality of the crops through judicious use of the pesticides. So we weren't applying too much or too little. Some of the growers used this minimizing pesticide use as a marketing ploy with their customers. So doing this program, we did conduct evaluation interviews with each farm. We collected information to base a yearly report and impact statements. The field specialist met with an advisory, which was myself, a panel of growers, and also with the grower associations to talk about the IPM program's results and also refine the program each year. You know, from the beginning to today, over the years, additional farms wanted to participate in this program, but due to the budget for travel and if we had the scout go beyond that circled area, we would actually reduce the number of farmers because of the travel time of going to each one. So I would go out and work with individual growers once or twice at the beginning of the season to set up their traps, and then they would report to me via phone, email, and recently text each week, so that we expanded that program out to more than just the Hillsborough County, Merrimack, or Cheshire County in that circled area. This is an area where, as we continued the program over the 15 years, I had to adapt to the farmers' needs and outside of just the region so that we could have more impact with growers from more than just that immediate southern New Hampshire region. So over the years, we received 50 IPM grants to continue this program over the 15 years. Just under $1 million we received to run the program. These are all the insects that we trapped in the years that we were trapping. Like in 2007, we saw Oriental fruit moth be an issue in peach orchards and apple orchards. So 2008, based on growers being concerned, we started a trapping program, and we found out that this was just a localized problem and we were able to get ahead of it within a couple years, and it hasn't shown its ugly face until around a year ago. So we're working with those growers again to make sure that they can trap and make sure that this insect doesn't become a major pest of several different areas. Now, some people said, why didn't I do anything for the livestock people? Well, we did do a study on deer flies and horse flies on a couple different trap designs using 4-H students being the ones checking the traps. And that was a real fun project. But this project really was looking at the fruit and vegetables, since that was my area that I was responsible for. So with that, when our IPM scout was out visiting and checking the traps and scouting the crops, she did a written report, or he did a written report and gave it to the farmer each time they visited. The farmers were given threshold, action thresholds, what I call, how many insects do I need to collect in a week, and should I be spraying or not based on that, or how much damage was done on a crop before I should be spraying or not. So the farmers had those thresholds available to them so that they could use that to make informed decisions to treat or not. So the weekly visits by the scouts is a critical component as it built on the opportunity to look out for other issues with the crops. Oftentimes the scout did see other pest or disease issues that we could help the growers with recommendations. And there was also some nutritional disorders that we could see in some of the crops that I would went out and helped to come up with other recommendations. So the IPM Scout was working closely with the field specialists to warn growers about other disease issues that were forecast or could be a future problem by looking at modeling programs, such as the cucurbit downy mildew. If it's forecasted to be a problem in southern New Hampshire, then we could get that word out immediately so that protective sprays could have been applied to prevent that issue on individual farms. Now, the IPM Scout is a trusted resource to the growers, and by the evaluations that came out really clear, and they really appreciate having that person coming out on a weekly. And it was a conduit between the farm and extension specialists to provide more information so that we could develop better programs in the future for the growers. So as the program continued over the years, the growers and non-participating growers asked if the data could be shared and viewed electronically. So we developed a website, and there was two aspects of this website. So when the IPM Scout came back from checking the traps and scouting the fields, they would put their observation and insect counts in, and an email would be automatically sent to a link on the website so that they could get their individual report. However, there was a second website that was open to all growers, all people, so that they could look at and see what was happening, and only the town was listed so that we weren't keying on one grower, so that somebody couldn't say, well, so-and-so is doing this or had this number, so that a farmer in that given area could see what was happening. And the thresholds were also put on the website so that people knew if they should have been on a 4-day schedule or a 7-day schedule, or didn't have to spray for any given one of the. So it made the reach of this program more than just the participating growers. So the other things that were used by this data was our fruit hotline, where the state entomologist specialist, the state specialist for entomology would put on timely information on a weekly basis based on what we were seeing in the field. Pest alerts were printed in newsletters, and thousands of growers and gardeners used that information. We had special IPM alerts if, let's say, there was a major flight of corn earworm was blown in the state and we were catching hundreds per trap. We would send out an alert immediately to all the people registered through our web site notification saying that the numbers were up. The New Hampshire Department of Agriculture, Markets and Foods also included these alerts in their weekly bulletin, so that it was a joint venture that they took also really a major step to help us get the word out. I made several presentations to state and regional grower associations, and these meetings weren't just providing the information that we were collecting, but it also gave me input on how we needed to modify the program to help growers in the future. And if you'd ask my wife, she says, yeah, yes, I've been seeing texting and answering texts all times, night and day. And many times a couple of the growers at 5 or 6 in the morning, hey, George, what's going on with the numbers? And I would try to answer them right away so that they could have a better idea of what the dynamics of the pest population was at the time. So an evaluation survey was completed by the participating farms at the end of the season. Nearly all the growers consistently reported they were confident in the recommendations based on our IPM recommendations. So an example of an impact was this, where I gave the number of growers over a 3-year period and average, the number of acres. And I took a lot of pride that looking at the acres in the state versus what was participating in the program, anywhere from the high 30s to 50% of the acreage in the sweet corn was participating in the program. As you can see here, that the number of sprays that we save, 2.7 to 2 sprays, we averaged over a 3-year period, 2.2. And this is based on true acreage, not averaging each farm, but averaging the acreage versus the number of sprays saved as a whole based on acreage. So kind of the big picture of the program was how we adapted to the farmers' needs, that we were changing what we were checking for, changing the programs and goals and objectives of the program to meet real demonstrated needs. You have to listen to the growers' prospective needs. Got to look at future problems. For example, brown marmorated stink bug and spot wing Drosophila, before they were a problem here, we were trapping for them, telling the growers, hey, we don't need to spray against this. We're monitoring the population, and when we do see it, we could then have a plan already developed. So we developed the plan, present the plan, and adapt it to the grower's response. And yes, we have to compromise. Growers want us to check for a whole bunch of other insects, but something has to come off the plate. And they realized that, and they were really great in compromising, working out what we could do for the dollars that we had. So before starting any program, you need to know what is the evaluation criteria for the program so you can collect that information throughout the growing season. Keep records on what are the problems the growers are having so that educational programs can be developed in the future to address those needs. Make sure that you collect the input and valuations at the end of the season, summarize it and review them, and use that review of their inputs and evaluation, and again, compromise to modify the program for the next year. I look at it as 2 circles. We have the farmers and extension, and where those circles overlap is the program that we can offer. And extension has to realize there's some things that we can't do within this program, and the farmers have to realize we can't do all their crops. So compromise of where we can get the impact and help the growers, and then develop that program to help both the needs of the extension of the actually showing the impacts that we can have on the farm. So thank you. And that was the New Hampshire Vegetable and Fruit IPM Scouting Program.